You're in the group chat, someone just said something objectively wrong, not opinion wrong, and you can feel it rising in your chest. The need to correct them, the urge to drop the facts, the link, the quote that proves you're right, so you type it out. 3 paragraphs, airtight logic, receipts included. You hit send, and then nothing changes. They double down. Someone else jumps in to defend them. Now you're in a full-blown argument with people who aren't even reading what you wrote. They're just responding to the idea that you challenged them. 20 minutes later, you're still going. Your heart rate is up. You've reread your own messages 4 times to make sure you didn't slip up. And the whole time, there's this sinking feeling, I'm losing even though I'm right. That feeling, it's not because people are stupid. It's not because the truth doesn't matter. It's because you just did exactly what they wanted you to do. You attended the argument. Here's what we're doing today. I'm going to show you the Stoic framework for winning arguments by refusing to have them without becoming passive, without biting your tongue, and without pretending you don't care. This isn't about taking the high road or being the bigger person. This is about understanding something most men never figure out. Most arguments aren't about truth. They're about ego trying to get paid. And the moment you engage, you've already lost, because you're playing a game where the rules are designed to waste your time, drain your energy, and make you look worse the harder you try to win. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to respond the next time someone baits you into a pointless argument. Not in theory. In practice, you'll have a system, a filter, a way to decide in 3 seconds whether an argument is worth having and what to do when it's not. Because here's the truth. The men who win in life aren't the ones who win every argument. They're the ones who know which fights to refuse. Here's the mistake almost every guy makes. You think the problem is that people are wrong, so you try to correct them. You explain, you cite sources, you break it down logically, and the more you do it, the weaker you look. Why? Because you're operating from a false belief that arguments are about truth. They're not. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years ago. They had a principle that cuts through all the noise. Most people don't want to be right. They want to feel right, and they'll sacrifice truth, logic, and reality itself to protect that feeling. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, most powerful man alive, wrote this in his journal. When someone wrongs you, ask yourself, what view of good and evil led them to act this way? When you see that, you'll pity them, not argue with them. Translation: they're not operating from logic, they're operating from ego, fear, insecurity, or the need to win. And here's the key insight. The moment you engage with ego, you validate it. You step into the arena, you make it a contest. And in a contest between truth and ego, ego always fights dirtier because it has more to lose. Epictetus, who spent years as a slave before becoming one of history's greatest philosophers, said it even more bluntly. If someone's words can disturb your peace, you've given them power over you. And you did it voluntarily. Think about that. Every time you argue with someone who isn't arguing in good faith, you're choosing to hand them your attention, your time, your emotional state. You're letting them set the terms. That's not strength, that's reaction. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you trying to win the argument, or are you trying to protect your peace and your power? Because you can't do both. First principle. Most arguments aren't about truth, they're about ego trying to get paid. Let's say you're at a family dinner. Your uncle starts talking politics. He says something you know is factually incorrect, not debatable, wrong. You've got the data, you've read the studies, so you jump in, calm, polite, just correcting the record. Actually, that's not accurate. The report showed the opposite. Here's what actually happened. He cuts you off. Well, that's your opinion. It's not an opinion. It's literally you believe everything you read. Now you're defending your sources, then your education, then your entire worldview. And 20 minutes later, you're in a full argument about something that has nothing to do with the original point. Here's what just happened. Your uncle didn't care about the facts. He cared about being respected at his own dinner table. When you corrected him, you didn't challenge his claim. You challenged his status. His ego registered a threat, and ego doesn't respond to logic. It responds to payment. What's the payment? Your reaction, your time, your emotional investment. Every second you argue is a second you're confirming he matters enough to fight with. The Stoic move. You don't correct him. You don't engage. You let him finish. Then you say nothing, or you say something neutral like interesting and change the subject. Not because you agree, not because you're scared, because you refuse to pay the ego tax. Here's why it works. When you don't react, there's no fuel. The argument dies. He either moves on or he escalates. And if he escalates, everyone else sees him as unreasonable, not you. You stayed calm. You stayed in control. You didn't need to win. And that is what made you look stronger. Second principle, your character matters more than being seen as right. Here's a scenario every guy has lived. You're in a meeting. A coworker says something incorrect about your project. Not a small thing, something that could make you look bad if left unchallenged. Everyone's watching. If you don't correct it, they'll think he's right. If you do correct it, you risk looking defensive, petty, or like you're starting drama. Most guys make one of two mistakes. One, they jump in aggressively. That's not true. Here's what actually happened. Now it's awkward. Now it's a confrontation. Even if they're right, they look reactive. Two, they stay silent, but they seethe. They lose respect for themselves. They replay it for hours. They fantasize about what they should have said. Both are losing moves. Here's the Stoic reframe. The question isn't, how do I make sure people know I'm right? The question is, what move preserves my character and my power? Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. People lied about him constantly. Senators, generals, rivals, everyone had an agenda. And here's what he wrote. The best revenge is to not be like that. Not prove them wrong. Not defend yourself publicly. Be different. Stay clean. Let your work speak. The Stoic move. In the meeting, you don't interrupt. You don't defend. You let him finish. After the meeting, you send a brief email. Facts only. No emotion. Hey team, just to clarify the timeline on X project, you CC the relevant people. You document reality. Then you let it go. If your boss values accuracy, it'll show. If your coworker makes a habit of this, others will notice. You don't need to win the moment. You need to stay clean over time. Why it works? Because reputation is built on patterns, not moments. One argument won't make people respect you, but consistent restraint, accuracy, and refusal to engage in drama, that compounds. You're not playing the short game, you're playing the long one. Third principle, silence is a weapon. Use it. Let's talk about social media, because this is where most guys lose the most time. Someone posts something ignorant, or inflammatory, or just wrong, and you can feel your fingers itching to reply. You type it out. A clean, devastating response. Logic. Facts. Maybe even a little humor to twist the knife. You hover over post. Here's what happens if you hit it. They respond. Not to your argument, to your tone, or they misquote you, or they call you names. Now you're in a thread with 12 people who didn't even read what you wrote. You're defending yourself to strangers. 2 hours later, you've won nothing. But you've lost 2 hours, your mental clarity, and a piece of your peace. Here's the Stoic principle. For one day, don't correct anyone unless it affects safety or money. That's it. That's the fast. Someone's wrong about history? Let it go. Someone misquotes a study? Let it go. Someone has a bad take on your favorite movie? Let it go. The Stoic move. Before you reply to anything, ask yourself 2 questions. Will this change their mind? Be honest. 99% of the time, the answer is no. Will staying silent cost me anything real? not your ego, not your need to be right. Something: real money, safety, reputation with people who matter. If both answers are no, delete the reply. Close the app, move on. Why it works? Because every argument you refuse is energy you keep, attention you protect, peace you preserve. And here's the paradox: the less you argue, the more people respect you. Because you become the guy who doesn't need to prove anything. You're not reactive, you're not fragile, you're solid. Fourth principle: not every battle is worth fighting. Most aren't. Here's the final piece. You need a filter, a system, a way to decide in 3 seconds whether an argument is worth your time. The Stoics had one. It's brutal, it's simple, and it works. Ask yourself, is this person arguing in good faith? Do they want truth, or do they want to win? Is there an audience that matters? Will staying silent hurt my reputation with people I actually care about? Can I win without losing something more valuable? Will winning cost me peace, time, or relationships I want to keep? If the answer to all three is no, you don't engage. You smile. You nod. You say, maybe you're right, and you move on. Not because you're weak, because you're expensive. Your time is expensive. Your time is expensive. Your attention is expensive. Your peace is expensive. And most arguments, they can't afford you. The Stoic move: next time someone tries to bait you, run the filter. Out loud if you have to. Good faith? No. Audience that matters? No. Can I win without losing? No. Then don't attend. Walk away. Change the subject. Let them have the last word. Because here's the truth. The Stoics knew. The last word doesn't win. The last move does. And your last move is refusal. Here's the deeper question. After every argument won or lost, ask yourself, what changed in my mood and my power? Not did I win, not did they admit I was right. What changed in me? If you won, but you're still angry 2 hours later, you lost. If you won, but you're checking your phone every 10 minutes to see if they replied, you lost. If you won, but you sacrificed your peace, your focus, or your frame, you lost. The Stoics called this inner scoreboard versus outer scoreboard. Outer scoreboard: who got the last word, who looked smarter, who won in front of others. Inner scoreboard: did I stay calm? Did I protect my power? Did I act with virtue? Your inner scoreboard is the only one that matters, because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. And if you can't look in the mirror and respect the man looking back, it doesn't matter how many arguments you won. All right. Here's your drill. I call it the 24-hour debate fast. Starting right now, for the next 24 hours, you will not correct anyone unless it directly affects safety or money. Here's exactly how it works. Step 1. Set the timer. 30 seconds. Open your phone. Set a 24-hour timer. Title it Debate Fast. This is your commitment. When it goes off tomorrow, you'll know you made it. Step 2. Identify your triggers. 5 minutes. Grab a notebook or your phone. Write down 3 types of situations where you always want to argue. Group chats, family dinners, social media comments, work meetings, political conversations. Write them down. These are your danger zones. Step 3. The refusal protocol. Ongoing. Every time someone says something wrong, ignorant, or baiting in the next 24 hours, you run this 3-second check. Does this affect my safety or money? If yes, engage. If no, continue. Will correcting this person change anything? Be brutally honest. What will arguing cost me? Time, peace, energy. If the answer is, this doesn't affect safety or money and won't change anything, you refuse to attend. You can stay silent, say interesting, and move on, change the subject, or literally walk away. Step 4. The evening journal. 10 minutes. Tonight, before bed, write down, what changed in my mood and my power? Then answer honestly. How many times did I want to argue today? How many times did I refuse? How did refusing feel in the moment? How do I feel now? Step 5. The proof. 2 minutes. Come back to this video. Drop one word in the comments, fasted. That's it. No explanation. Just proof. Why this works? Because this isn't theory. This is training. For 24 hours, you're going to practice the highest form of power, restraint. You're going to feel the urge to correct, to win, to prove, and you're going to choose silence instead. And by the end of tomorrow, you'll realize something. Most arguments you thought you had to have, you didn't. Let's bring this home. Look, I get it. Staying silent when someone's wrong feels like weakness. It feels like you're letting them win. It feels like you're betraying the truth. But here's what the Stoics understood that most men today don't. You are not your circumstances. You are your response to your circumstances. You don't control whether people are wrong. You don't control whether they argue in bad faith. You don't control whether they respect you. You control whether you attend. And that is where your power lives. Marcus Aurelius had senators lying to his face. Epictetus had masters who beat him. Both men had every reason to argue, to fight, to prove, and both chose restraint. Not because they were weak, because they understood. The man who doesn't need to win every argument is the man nobody can control. So here's what happens next. You do the 24-hour fast. You don't just watch this and move on. You actually refuse the next 3 arguments that come your way. And when you do, you'll feel it. The power of not needing to be right. The freedom of not attending. When you finish, come back and drop one word. The situation you refuse today. Just one. I want to see it. And if this actually helped, subscribe. New Stoic training drops every week. If you're serious about becoming harder to break, you don't want to miss the next one. Final truth. Silence isn't weakness. It's restraint. And restraint is the highest form of strength. Stay solid. I'll see you in the next one.